Sometimes when I'm thrifting, I'll find something that's nearly perfect, but just needs a couple of alterations to be wearable for me. That was the case with this blouse that I found, where I was really drawn to the collar that had this wide rectangular shape that reminded me of fashions from around the late 19-teens and early 1920s, which is one of my favorite time periods for fashion. This style can be seen in fashion images like these from Sears catalogs around 1918 and 1919. So I'm going to make a couple simple alterations to make this blouse into something I'll wear and that fits me well. I'm going to take you through my process with fixing this blouse. The first issue is the bright red rickrack trim on the collar. So I grabbed what might be the world's smallest seam ripper and simply removed the trim from the collar. Although I did struggle for a couple of minutes with getting it started and not ripping the actual blouse fabric underneath it. Now I'm trying on the blouse again without the trim, and I'm really liking how the collar looks without it, and it would almost be perfect, but this is where the second problem comes in, which is that the sleeves are just way too short for me. Since I'm tall, my arms are also very long, and almost no sleeves ever sit in the right place for me, but these seem to be especially short, so I can't even close the cuff around my forearm where they sit. I do, however, like the look of the cuffs with the gathered sleeve, so I'm going to try and shorten the sleeve while salvaging the cuffs in some way to be able to fit around my forearm. So I started with just seam ripping the cuffs off of the sleeve. Given how wide the original cuffs are, I decided to just cut them in half lengthwise and sew them together so that I would have a new cuff that could now fit around my entire upper arm. Here I'm sewing those two pieces together, right sides together. I'm using my antique Singer sewing machine, which was made in 1911 and is powered by a foot treadle. I do almost all of my sewing on it, and it's probably one of my favorite things that I own. To get an idea for how long I wanted my sleeve, I took a blouse where I liked the sleeve placement. This one is one I just finished sewing, and coincidentally, or maybe not coincidentally, it is a 1910s style blouse, and it uses the folkwear armistice blouse pattern. I thought I might as well take this as an opportunity to show off this blouse a little bit, especially these pin tucks that I made, which were very fiddly and difficult to do, but I'm very happy with them even if they're slightly wonky. I also really love the buttons I was able to find, which just catch the light in a really beautiful way. Once I've decided on a good length, I'm marking that on my blouse and then cutting off the excess sleeve. Back to the sewing machine, I'm running 2 parallel lines of stitching with the longest stitch length that my machine can do in order to be able to gather up the sleeves. Thankfully, my bobbin ran out at the perfect moment, leaving me about 2 inches to spare. So I'm going to wind myself a new bobbin and also show off the mesmerizing action of my machine's bobbin winder. To figure out how large to make the cuffs and how much to gather the sleeve down, I measured around my upper arm, leaving a generous amount of space for the cuff to be able to slide up and down when I move my arms so that the sleeve doesn't get stuck if I raise my arms. Then I sewed the cuffs together in a loop like this, with one side open so that I can sandwich the sleeve between. Pulling on my gathering stitches, I gathered up the sleeve as neatly as I could, running over the gathers to distribute them as best as possible. So I sandwiched the gathered raw edge of the sleeve into the cuff, then took it to my sewing machine where I simply stitched all the way around. This is the final product, and I think it looks relatively neat, not perfect, but pretty much okay for what I'm going for. With just those 2 simple changes made, I'm really happy with how this blouse turned out. I love the collar, and I'm very happy with the sleeves also. While they aren't perfect, I think that the gathers look pretty nice, and the cuff is nice and loose around my upper arm so that I can move it around freely and not have it get stuck or ride up. I really hope you enjoyed this simple and short video, but I hope to create more videos in the future, and they will probably be on different topics if you enjoy knitting, crocheting, sewing, and really anything creative or anything that has to do with vintage or antique styles, then you might enjoy sticking around. Thanks for watching again, and bye.